And we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Unfiltered Report. My name is Ryan. Here we are. We're going to recap day three of the College World Series. On top of that, we're going to talk about some of the noteworthy things that have been going on in Major League Baseball. Some interesting notes and tidbits and things we'd like to touch on for tonight with regards to Major League Baseball. But before we get to that, I mentioned the College World Series. We started off day three in Omaha with an elimination game between the Detroit Trojans and the Ole Miss Rebels. Shout out to the Detroit Trojans, baby. Keeping their season alive. Absolutely love to see it. Ole Miss actually jumped up on top of them first. 2 runs in the bottom of the first to take a nice little 2-0 lead. Troy counters back with the 2-run homer in the top of the second, only for Ole Miss to counter back again with their own 2-run homer in the bottom half of the second to go up 4-2. Then in the bottom of the fourth, Ole Miss gives you another 2-run homer to go up 6-2. But then in the top of the fifth, Troy starts, chipping into that lead a little bit, cut it down to 6-5. In the top of the seventh, my guy Jimmy Janicki goes yard again, continuing to bang the drum on Jimmy Janicki, baby. But it's more than Jimmy Janicki. The whole team played well. We'll get to that later on in the seventh. My guy Jay Bruce with a 2-run double. Another little RBI single from my guy Mr. Markham. They go up 9-6 in the bottom half of the seventh. Ole Miss counters to cut it down to a 9-7 deficit, and then in the top of the eighth, the number 3 hole hitter, Mr. Cavill, goes yard, gives them a 10-7 lead, and then Jay Bruce again, 12-7. Troy, bottom of the eighth, Ole Miss, give you a solo homer in the bottom of the eighth, but that's all they could muster for the rest of the game. The Troy Trojans come out victorious, 12-8. The starter on the day for Troy only goes 44 pitches, which is noteworthy because I think you'll definitely see him again if Troy's able to stick around any further in the tournament. They're one of their better pitchers as well out of the bullpen, gives you 34 pitches in as well, keeping him fresh. And then a huge shout out goes to the Troy bullpen. We've been talking a lot about these collegiate bullpens. We talked about Mason Patil. We talked about yesterday with West Virginia and Ian Korn. Today, you go down the list here. Noah Tigpin, who came into the day with the ERA over 6. Well, I guess his ERA, it's still over 6 if you want to put that in perspective. But he gives you 5 innings out of the bullpen, 6 hits, 2 earned, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. Gives you a large majority of keeping him in that game. You couldn't ask for a better performance out of the bullpen. Tommy Egan, we mentioned him, the senior, been arguably one of, if not their best pitchers this year. Benjamin Stubbs, Hayden Smith, probably been, 3 of their better guys throughout the year, especially as far as their, bulk guys. And obviously they've got Zach Crutchfeld out of the bullpen as well. And he actually came in and shut down the door for Troy in the bottom of the ninth. And he's been really great out of the bullpen, the senior. But I think big for Troy that, Tommy Egan and Hayden Smith didn't really throw that many pitches, so you can bring them back out there if Troy's able to stick around in the tournament. And then a lot of that made possible with Noah Tigpin out of the bullpen, giving you 5 strong innings. We mentioned Jay Bruce earlier, Jay Boroff. He's been great. Blake Cavill. Aaron Piasecki. You go down the list. It's a really good Troy team. They continue to impress more and more each outing. They've got some really nice jerseys too. I got to give credit where it's due for the people out there that like that sort of thing. They got some nice jerseys. Listen, I think Troy, like we mentioned, we're going to continue to say, look, Troy's not they're not some Cinderella story. I mean, this is a legitimate ball club now that in the last couple of weeks alone. I mean, they were the real deal beforehand, but for them to beat Florida, Miami, Ole Miss, now they're going to be sticking alive. They'll be back at it. The Troy Trojans will be. Uh, in just a little bit, they'll be back in Omaha. They'll be back on Tuesday. You might be wondering, well, who are they going to play on Tuesday in what will be an elimination game? Well, we mentioned that West Virginia and North Carolina are going to be playing in the winners bracket. A lot of credit goes to North Carolina. Continue to impress. The pitching's been great. The lineup just, again, it's not Georgia where they're just mashing everything, but they do a great job, to a man. They've got a bunch of guys, they might not be top draft picks, that there will be MLB draft picks. There will be players that end up in the minor leagues. They're quality players. Um, Again, you go down the list. A guy like Gavin Gallagher is a great example. Of someone who again might not be the number one pick in the draft or anything like that. But that's definitely a guy when we do our MLB draft coverage. I'll be very excited to see where he ends up. He's just a quality player. Owen Hole's been really good. Jake Schaffner, Eric Paulson. I mean, you go down the list again to a man. I mentioned the year to catcher. Macon Winslow's even been pretty solid himself. Again, we mentioned Gavin Gallagher. Um, Colin Heineck's been pretty solid too. Like, and well, Colin Heineck behind a dish again, year to catcher. Both of those guys, they've been great. Look, it's a really solid North Carolina team. Um, it was very, they decided to go with Ryan Lynch on the mound today. He pitched, he did it, he did all you could ask for. Give him 4 2/3, 5 hits, 2 earned, 2 walks, 2 Ks on 73 pitches, which is important because it leaves enough bullets in the chamber for him to come back if need be. One of their other better pitchers on the year, Walker McDuffie, out of the bullpen's been spectacular. The sophomore, he's been really, really good. He's been holding hitters to a 209 average all year. He struck out 86 guys. Um, he comes in again out of the bullpen like he's done all year. Gives you 3 2/3, 3 hits, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, 63 pitches. And then again, can't say enough good things about this Caden Glauber kid. He comes in with 2 outs in the ninth, shuts the door down on West Virginia. How's about it? 9 pitches, 6 strikes, 2 strikeouts, 2 outs. That's all you need from Caden Glauber. Can't say enough good things about him. Look, North Carolina continues to impress. They can pitch the crap out of the baseball. They know how to move. They can move runners over. They're not. That might not be the sexiest lineup in the world, but it's a bunch of quality hitters. And again, a lot of love to Steve Forbes. Um, Maxiell on the other side, look, he did his part. He gave West Virginia a chance. Uh, Unfortunately for him, you know, 7 innings, but 2 earned. But again, West Virginia with 2 errors, kind of hurt them a little bit. But Maxiell did his part. I mean, he kept them in the game. We mentioned Dylan Volantis last night. Even though in a losing effort, he pitched about, he gave him a shot in many ways, or defense let him down a little bit. But yeah, Maxiell, the lefty, year removed from Tommy John, continues to impress. 7 innings, 8 hits, 2 earned, 1 walk, 7 Ks. Unfortunately for him, North Carolina was just that much better on the mound as a collective with Lynch, McDuffie, and Glauber today. And North Carolina sets themselves up in a remarkable position where they're now one win away from the championship series against whoever waits on that SEC side of the bracket. Look, nothing but good things to say about North Carolina. They continue to impress. Just a rock solid baseball team. So Tuesday in Omaha is going to be elimination day. The way that it sets up schedule wise is that West Virginia and Troy will face each other Tuesday at 11 a.m. So you're going to be able to get some of that World Cup action and West Virginia Troy on Tuesday. So enjoy that. But we mentioned the way it sets up, it's an elimination day. So whoever ends up losing the Georgia Oklahoma game tomorrow will play the winner of Alabama, Texas one day later. So while West Virginia and Troy will get a day off, that SEC side of the bracket, they will not get that day off, and they'll play 5 p.m. later that day on Tuesday. So we get a rematch between West Virginia and Troy. Troy will be the home team in this game. Listen, Troy got a shot, man. I'm gonna keep saying it. Troy got a shot. West Virginia as well. It's only fitting they get to face each other one more time. They played a really great game the other day. I love the fact that sets itself up in an elimination game. We'll see what both teams decide to do pitching wise. West Virginia, I would imagine, will turn to Dawson Montesa at some point. Um, and then look, Troy, all hands on deck if you're Troy as well. We mentioned the fact that, my guy, Mr. Egan, didn't really throw as many pitches. I wouldn't be surprised if you see him. And if you see him and Mr. Smith, Mr. Hagen Smith, I would not be surprised if you see both of those guys uh, pitch again on Tuesday. Um, and what will be an elimination game and a really good game in Omaha, Nebraska. Looking forward to tomorrow, Alabama, Texas at 11 a.m. Um, Look, Alabama, Texas. I've got Texas winning that one, and I've got Georgia beating Oklahoma. But we mentioned it. Look, Oklahoma is on an absolute heater right now. They've got all the momentum in the world. And it's one of those, unstoppable force meets immovable object type of games. 4 p.m. in Omaha on the winter side of the bracket. But you're going to get Cape Verde at 9 a.m. in the morning against Spain. 11 a.m. Alabama, Texas. 12 o'clock Belgium, Egypt. You're going to get 3 p.m. Saudi Arabia, Uruguay. 4 p.m. Georgia, Oklahoma. 6 p.m. Iran, New Zealand. It's going to be a beautiful Monday. On top of that, obviously, you're going to have everything else going on in the sporting world, Major League Baseball, so on and so forth. But can't wait to see what happens in Omaha tomorrow in that SEC side of the bracket. And then we'll see who ends up in that elimination game at 5 p.m. on Tuesday after West Virginia Troy. But now, kicking things over to Major League Baseball. A couple of big things we want to continue to talk about. Last night, we talked about Sin City, Las Vegas. We talked about the Golden Knights earlier. Shout out to the Carolina Hurricanes again. Listen, I think for anybody out there that hasn't been keeping up with the Athletics 2 series in Las Vegas, yes, of course, keep in mind that they're playing in a AAA ballpark. But listen, when that stadium gets built and they play in Vegas full time, we talk a lot about Coors Field. I mean, the ball's absolutely fucking flying in Las Vegas. I think I saw 5 of the longest home runs of the season, including, I think, the longest home run of the season, have all been hit in the last couple of days in Las Vegas. It's been over 107, 108 degrees. We mentioned the Rockies. They're playing the A's. How about this? The Rockies, who used to play at Coors Field, they've never done what they did today in Las Vegas at Coors Field. They scored 23 runs in a 101-degree afternoon in Las Vegas. How about this quote right here from Hunter Goodman? Quote, "You've just got to make contact and the ball's going to go." Willie Castro had 7 RBIs. Hunter Goodman had 5 hits. Again, the Rockies set a franchise record for runs. Think about that. This is the team that plays at Coors Field, and they broke their own record for most runs in a game in Las Vegas. If that's not noteworthy, I don't know what to tell you. Um, Listen, the ball is going to be flying in Sin City when they're playing their full time Major League Baseball. Major league pitchers are gonna. I mean, you talk about Coors Field and the altitude, and that's one beast in itself. But Vegas is going to be a different animal as well. Holy smokes! The Vegas are going full time in 2028. They got a little bit of a taste test this week with the 6-game homestand. How about this? The teams involved combined to score 102 runs in these 6 games. I mean, look, we'll see. The stadium will apparently, be a little bit of an indoor feel, so we don't know if it'll play the same or not. Um, but listen, noteworthy in the sense that, if they let the roof off, if they let it fly like that in the new stadium, the new $2 billion stadium that's under construction. Again, shout out stadiums. We love talking about stadiums here at the Unfiltered Report. So stay tuned for that, for the deep dive. But look, I think it's just incredibly noteworthy that you've got a team in the Rockies that play 81 home games a year in Colorado in the most hitter friendly ballpark in the United States of America and Canada. And the ball is absolutely jumping. I know there's been a lot of talk about maybe eventually a Mexico City franchise, and that's been a big topic of conversation. We mentioned MLB expansion earlier. We mentioned Sacramento. There are a lot of other North American cities that are angling for a team. We mentioned the Carolina Hurricanes. Raleigh's another city. Portland. We mentioned the Trailblazers. Tom Dundon. Everything connects here. Look, there's a lot of teams out there that are angling for a major league franchise. But one thing's for certain: when the A's move to Vegas in 2028, it's going to be incredibly fascinating to see how the ball flies in that ballpark, how the final renderings of the ballpark look. If it's a fully indoor feel, if they're gonna retract the roof, they're gonna let it fly. Who knows? Well, time will tell in 2028. We'll continue to deep dive it, but it's incredibly noteworthy that the ball's been jumping, and it makes sense in that dry desert heat. In that AAA ballpark. I mean, it makes sense that you put major league hitters in a AAA ballpark with that type of conditions and whatnot. I mean, Hunter Goodman said it best. You just got to put the barrel to the ball and let the ball take care. Let Mother Nature take care of the rest. Um, I think it's an incredibly noteworthy conversation, as we mentioned. So we're going to continue to talk about stadiums here at the Unfiltered Report. We love doing that. But I thought that was incredibly noteworthy. Also in Major League Baseball, we've given a lot of love to the Brewers, obviously, for the way that they do business. One of their top prospects, Cooper Pratt, we have yet to do a full farm system deep dive. But Cooper Pratt, the 21-year-old shortstop, they actually signed him to an extension earlier in the year. They gave him an 8-year deal. Um, he's getting called up. He's going to make his debut on Tuesday. They also just signed another one of their minor league outfielders, Luis Lara, last week to a 7-year, $31 million deal. What I would imagine is that Cooper Pratt will play short, and they'll move Joey Ortiz over to third, and then Luis Rengifo will be either DFA'd or something similar to that. But listen, credit to Cooper Pratt for getting a call up. Credit to the Brewers for look, again. We mentioned earlier with the Tom Dundon conversation and the Canes with the Blazers, like, and with the Brewers and the Rays. It's not always about spending money. It's about spending money smartly, investing in your farm system. You're not going to find many better farm systems in Major League Baseball than what Milwaukee's got in their farm system. Tampa Bay as well. The Seattle Mariners have a really good farm system. I can't wait to talk about theirs as well. There's a couple other teams I want to give some love to. The Cardinals got a nice farm system. The White Sox are building something. The Twins potentially got some nice pieces. There's a lot of teams we want to do our farm system deep dives on. Um, But, we mentioned the Cardinals. Blaze Jordan recently got called up as well. He went yard. Uh, you know, uh, there's a lot of wave of players coming into Major League Baseball that are incredibly talented. They're getting promoted earlier and earlier. They're big league ready earlier and earlier nowadays. I'll be interested to see what happens with Cooper Pratt. I mean, Luis Rengifo has really struggled, so I think whatever Cooper Pratt gives you is going to be probably a knock on wood for them a lot better. So you're getting a first place team who's one of the you know been a top five team in baseball this year record wise, tops in the division in the NL Central, and they're getting some reinforcements here in the middle of June. Um, Meanwhile, just kind of throughout the rest of the league, the Miami Marlins continue to stay hot. They win 4-2. They've been playing really good baseball in June. The pitching's been great for them. We mentioned that last night. We mentioned the Nationals and how their lineup's been one of the best, if not the best in the league. They put up a 10 spot on the Mariners today. The Padres with a big win on the road over the Orioles. Uh, and we mentioned the Padres been scuffling a little bit recently. Uh, that's a nice way for them to end that weekend series, and then Baltimore continue to be one of those fascinating teams that I really want to deep dive further on. The Yankees with a nice little 8-3 victory over the Blue Jays. The Diamondbacks 5-3 over the Reds. The Mets beat the Atlanta Braves 8-1. The Royals with a nice little shutout over the Astros 4-0. We talked about them a little bit last night. The White Sox beat the Dodgers 6-4. Big win for them to close out that series in Chicago. We mentioned it was Christopher Sanchez Day. Looked a little human today. 5 2/3, 8 hits, 4 runs. Most he's given up in a long time. One walked, only 3 Ks, but his ERA is still 1.82 on the year. He'll be fine. It's a one start deal. But shout out to the Brewers. Kyle Harrison, we mentioned him. He pitched earlier in the week in that Las Vegas thing where, in that Las Vegas game, I mean, he got torched. Uh, where otherwise he's been brilliant in Vegas. He gave up 8 runs in 2 1/3. Well, today he gives you six scoreless. Um, Continuing to kind of, showcase again Milwaukee. Going out getting a guy like Kyle Harrison and being able to tap into his talent. Look, credit to him for that. Um, a remarkable performance on the mound. The Brewers win 4-0. The Twins, uh, shout out to the Twins. Uh, they had a nice little victory today over the St. Louis Cardinals. Um, we mentioned the Rockies earlier. They exploded for a franchise record in runs. Shout out to my guy Malik Gigantes, the Giants. Bay Area's finest with a 5-1 victory over the Cubbies. The Rays bounced back from getting shut out last night against the Angels, beat them 8-3. And then on Sunday Night Baseball, Nathan Eovaldi with a really great start, 7 rock solid innings. I mean, he's been really good. I mean, he's been just consistent. There were some worries early in the year about Evaldi, but he's quieted those down. He's been on a tear recently as well. They beat the Red Sox in Boston 6-4. The Tartan Army, the Scottish supporters, been getting a lot of love in media circles. There was a lot of love circulating for the Tartan Army at Fenway earlier. Shout out to them for that as well. Uh, a couple of noteworthy things that happened in Major League Baseball as well that we'd like to talk about. Hunter Brown scheduled to come back this week after being hurt. He's coming back, which is great news for them. Um, Spencer Strider, elbow elbow's a bit of a concern right now. He's got some elbow inflammation. He's waiting for an MRI. They won't really know until the results are viewed by Dr. Keith Meister. They put him on a 15-day IL after his start the other day against the Mets. Obviously concerning considering this is a guy who underwent Tommy John in 2019, and then in 2024, he had the UCL on his elbow repaired with an internal brace. But this is very concerning. His velocity dipped to 88 miles an hour when he was facing MJ Melendez leading off the fourth inning, which is very concerning considering that he hit 96 earlier in the same game. You hope for the best for a guy like Spencer Strider because when he's healthy and when he's on, he's one of the best players, best pitchers to watch in the sport. So you hope to see that positive, come back positively, but that's a big concern. Hunter Brown, we mentioned him. He's coming back to the rotation. He'll be pitching against the Tigers on Tuesday. Um, this is a guy who, over the first two starts of the season, had an 0.84 ERA with 17 strikeouts and 10 and two thirds. This is a guy who last year was incredible and was really building on that to start the year. Unfortunately, like we mentioned, he hasn't pitched since March 31st with the grade 2 shoulder strain. But coming back from the 60-day IL, and fittingly enough, he'll be facing his former teammate Framber Valdez on Tuesday. Um, Excited to see Hunter Brown back on the mound because when he's right, he's one of those guys that's appointment viewing on the mound that we mentioned. So all in all, another really exciting day in Major League Baseball here. Looking ahead to what's on the docket coming up on Monday. We've got the Marlins and the Phillies at 3:40 in the afternoon. Ryan Gusto against Zach Wheeler out at Citizens Bank Ballpark in Philadelphia. The Kansas City Royals will be on the road against the Washington Nationals. You've got Mitch Spence and Andrew Alvarez on the bump for that. You've got the Mets on the road against the Cincinnati Reds. Tobias Myers against Chase Burns. Love me some Chase Burns. For those of you out there that have yet to watch Chase Burns, take the time out of your day if you get the chance at 410 out here on the West Coast or wherever you may be. Watch Chase Burns in the midst of, you're going to have Georgia, Oklahoma. You're going to have Saudi Arabia, Uruguay. And you can watch Chase Burns all at the same time against the New York Mets. The Padres will be on the road against the St. Louis Cardinals. That'll be Lucas Giolito against Dustin May. We mentioned the Rockies scoring a franchise record in runs. Well, they're going from Las Vegas to the Chicago Cubs in Wrigley Field. It's going to be Michael Lorenzen, shout out Cal State Fullerton, against Shota Imanaga. You've got the Twins and the Rangers. What looks to be a bullpen day for the Minnesota Twins as of now against Mackenzie Gore. Tigers and Astros, where we mentioned that Tuesday is going to be Hunter Brown against Framber Valdez. It'll be Troy Melton against Kai Wei Tang. Angels will be on the road in Arizona. Hopefully my boy David will be out there watching that. I'll have to reach out to him, see if he'll be there. That'll be a fun series. Walbert Urena against Ryan Nelson at 6:40 p.m. Pacific. Pittsburgh against the A's. The A's will be back in Sacramento after their 6-game excursion with a little taste test for Las Vegas. Jared Jones and JT Ginn will be on the bump for that. And then a series that I'm really looking forward to that I can't wait to talk about throughout this upcoming week in these next couple days. You've got the Tampa Bay Rays and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Can't ask for a better contrast to the beautiful sport of baseball than that. You got Nick Martinez and Eric Lauer. Eric Lauer recently acquired by the Dodgers. I'm excited to see what Eric Lauer can do on the mound for the Dodgers in a fun matchup against Nick Martinez, who Nick Martinez been one of the best pitchers in baseball this season. So that's going to be a really fun opener out there at Dodger Stadium. Shout out to my Dodgers. I love the Dodgers, you know that. But love Major League Baseball as well. And then Tuesday, obviously a couple of series on Tuesday that with teams that aren't playing on Monday. Those series are Toronto at Boston. The opener in that will be Dylan Cease and Peyton Tolley. The Chicago White Sox will be on the road against the New York Yankees. Davis Martin and Garrett Cole, which should be a really fun pitching matchup out there in the Bronx. You're going to have the Giants on the road against the Braves. Adrian Hauser against Grant Holmes. The Guardians and the Brewers. We mentioned Cooper Pratt going to make his major league debut on Tuesday. That's going to be Slade Ciccone and Robert Gasser. Robert Gasser, when he came onto the scene before he got hurt, I enjoyed watching him pitch. It'll be fun to see him pitch on Tuesday against the Guardians. Furthermore, the other series that will be on that'll be on Tuesday that isn't on Monday will be the Orioles on the road against the Seattle Mariners. The opener for that will be Brendan Young and Logan Gilbert. There's some other really interesting matchups throughout the rest of the week. Some weekend series that are going to be really fun moving forward as well. That we'll talk about in due time when we get closer to that. We'll have some interesting series. It's going to be the Mets and the Phillies starting on Thursday. You'll have the Angels and the A's, the Cardinals and the Royals. Friday's got this upcoming weekend's got some good series. You're gonna have the Blue Jays and the Cubs, and the Cubs allotted 11:20 in the afternoon Pacific Friday home games. Tradition as old as time itself, it appears. That'll be a fun one. Scheduled to be Kevin Gosman and Ben Brown on the bump that day on Friday, June 19th. Tarek Skubal is going to be on the bump Friday. You're going to get a fun one with Rhett Lauder and Cam Schlittler between the Reds and the Yankees. Tarek Skubal scheduled to go against Eric Feedy and the White Sox. You're going to get the Giants on the road against the Miami Marlins. We mentioned them. They've been playing great baseball in June. They're right on the cusp of a nice little wild card spot at the moment. The Nationals and the Rays, that'll be another fun series. Griffin Jacks will be on the bump against Kate Cavalli for that. Griffin Jacks, they turned him into a starter in the last month or so, and they've been slowly but surely building him up for that. Friday's going to be Jacob Mizorowski Day. Make sure you don't miss that 4:15 Friday on the road against the Atlanta Braves and Martin Perez, and what should be an absolutely spectacular matchup and a great 3-game set over the weekend. The Padres will be on the road in Texas. The opener for that will be Randy Vasquez and Jacob deGrom. You have the Guardians and the Astros, Joey Cantillo and Tatsuya Ime. We mentioned the Cardinals and the Royals. They start on Thursday. You'll have Michael McGreevy and Stephen Kolek on a bump for that. The Pirates will be on the road at Coors Field. The Rockies will be back at home starting Friday. Bubba Chandler and Kyle Freeland. Kyle Freeland's going to be pitching at Coors Field in the year 2047. I look forward to it. The A's and the Angels, we mentioned back in Sacramento, Grayson Rodriguez and Jeffrey Springs. Connor Prielipp on the bump against Michael Soroka. Connor Prielipp's a guy, Alabama product. They called him up not too long ago. Interested to see how his big league career unfolds. He'll be on the bump against the D-backs. Orioles and Dodgers. That'll be an interesting series. Dodgers with a little AL East flair this upcoming week. It'll be Trey Gibson and Roki Sasaki on Friday night. And then the last matchup to look forward to for the weekend, the Red Sox and the Mariners, Ranger Suarez and Bryce Miller. And we'll talk about the rest of the Saturday and Sunday matchups as far as who will be on the mound. Obviously, the same teams will be playing each other, but the pitching matchups, we'll touch on those as it gets closer. But overall, going to be a very interesting week in Major League Baseball. Again, we mentioned a couple of things: prospect promotions, players coming back from injury. There's the big Spencer Strider news. We'll continue to monitor all that, update it as we go. But just taking a pulse of where we're at here, heading into the upcoming week. Looking forward to it. Really, really, really can't wait to see what continues to unfold here in the coming days, weeks, and months here in the Major League Baseball season. Don't let it get lost in the shuffle of World Cup summer, baby, and all the other stuff we got going on. It's a great time to be a sports fan out there. And I hope you'll continue to join us here at the Unfiltered Report throughout the summer, heading into the fall, the winter, for many years to come, knock on wood. We're looking forward to it. Cheers, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ryan. This has been the Unfiltered Report. I hope you all have an amazing start to your Monday. Enjoy a full day of sporting action. We'll be right back here within the next 24 hours to recap the day that is Monday with a look ahead to Tuesday. And throughout the week, in the midst of all our recaps, we'll be sure to throw in some stuff for the people. We're also, and I'm looking forward to all the stars of the Unfiltered Report coming on here in due time throughout the week and coming weeks. So stay tuned. Plenty more to come. Cheers to it all, baby. Have a great week. First full week of the World Cup. No better way to start with 4 matches, College World Series, Major League Baseball, everything in between. Stay safe out there. Stay hydrated. If you're out here on the West Coast, don't do what I did, and normally don't get sunburned. But today was a day. It happens maybe about once every year or two. It happens. Today happened to be that day, so I'll be a lobster tomorrow, but I'll be a proud lobster because I'm gonna be enjoying a nice little Monday degeneracy. So take care of yourselves, skincare people out there. Take care of yourselves. Hydrate, moisturize, shower, do all the fun stuff that people love to do. Stay healthy out there. Have a banger meal. It's the World Cup. Enjoy 48 meals from 48 different countries if you'd like. Enjoy the global game and everything in between. Stay safe out there. We'll talk soon.